I will persist until I succeed. Every minute will I take another step. And that's kind of what I tell myself sometimes. And I think it's important for us all to have that quality and that ability, but it's not just blindly stepping. It's learning from the environment around you, stepping back, thinking about like, how do I need to reposition or to tweak my process so that you're taking your efforts and making sure they're focusing on the outcome that you want.
So today we're going to be talking about how marketers can think like entrepreneurs. And we're going to really dive into what it means to be an entrepreneurial marketer and what are some of the qualities and behaviors and habits that it takes. And then we're going to have a few predictions we're going to share with you. If you are in marketing or you work with marketing people or you want to become a CMO, then you have come to the right place today. Let's talk about our guest today. And we're going to bring Alisa Cohn in a moment to the room with me. She is freestyle rapper, Broadway investor, a writer, #1 startup coach as deemed by Thinkers 50, kettlebell queen, sassy New Yorker. Let's welcome Alisa Cohn.
Thank you so much, Lisa. It's all true. It's all true.
Well, it's very difficult when I have these incredible friends join from the Marshall Goldsmith 100 Coaches community to be able to explain who they are. So I like to just pick some snippets. Sure. How is New York today?
New York is finally sunny, beautiful. We're getting spring here. It's fantastic.
So, Alisa, we are going to be taking questions as we go through today. And Great. One of the things that is always fun to do is to find out your origin story. At what moment in your life did you realize, holy cow, I am an entrepreneur, or I really want to be an entrepreneur?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Lisa. And I may just say to everybody, one of the most well-regarded LinkedIn learning instructors. You should absolutely go check out all of Lisa's courses. But the answer to your question is, I'm not sure if I had a sense of like, I want to be an entrepreneur, but I do remember working in a number of different companies and organizations. And I realized, I don't know, like, I feel like I should be doing more I feel like I should be building a network. I feel like I should be selling myself. And I didn't quite know what that meant. I was like, what would you sell yourself to do? Because actually I didn't grow up around entrepreneurs. I didn't know about entrepreneurship. I just knew that I had more capacity than like a large company organization would be able to hold on to. And when I met a coach and I realized like, that's what I want to do, it was sort of the combination of all these things together. Oh, I want to run my own business. I see. Oh, I want to help people move forward faster. I see. And those things came together.
Yes. And here you are now. You've had your firm for, is it really 20 years?
20 years, 2 decades. I know.
Welcome to the 2 decades club.
I know. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So what has been so far for you as you've had 20 years to kind of reflect on what an entrepreneur truly is? What definition would you give to our audience?
Well, I think of entrepreneurs as the people who can peer over your shoulder to see a future that you don't see. So to kind of create that vision, to see that vision, and to understand it in a way that other people may not. And then importantly, to marshal resources, one way or the other, time, energy. I'm a solo entrepreneur, but I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. And so, you know, who are running big businesses, they have to marshal people together. So it's the idea of in service of something bigger and better. And the last thing I would say is entrepreneurship happens within constraints, because you always have limited people, limited finances, limited time. So you've got to think about how to focus your time and energy and your resources to get there within constraints.
And I really like the constraints term. 90% of the chief marketing officers in our private cohort, as well as the ones that I advise and coach, tell me constantly, I have such limited resources.
Yes.
I have to launch a growth plan. I have revenue goals now from the CEO. And how am I going to get there when I don't have additional headcount to get to that next level?
Right.
So you bring up a key point there, you know, and I like your definition. Mine plays off of that one, which is it's someone who consistently turns possibility into profit.
That's great.
Because I don't know about you, I won't name names. Have you run across a lot of people that see tons of possibility, but don't really take action on any of them?
Yeah, every day. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. So I think I just want to distinguish for our audience, you know, there is quite a big difference between dreamers and entrepreneurs.
Yes.
So I'm just a fan here, you know. We're coming up on our 1-year anniversary with our live streams. And I am just such a big fan of Plato, who said the path to wisdom begins with a common set of definitions. So I wanted to make sure that everyone understands kind of the container from which we're operating today. So you have worked personally with some of the world's most amazing entrepreneurs. Mac Weldon is one of your clients. Dory Clark, the entrepreneur extraordinaire. Marshall Goldsmith is probably one of the best entrepreneurs I know.
Yeah.
What have you seen among entrepreneurs that the qualities that they share in common?
Well, 1,000% persistence and resilience, and the ability to put one foot in front of the other, and the willingness and ability to see obstacles as opportunities.
Yes, persist. You know, that's one of the reasons that I reached out to you. I said, I listened to a number of your podcasts and your live streams as well. And I said, she's hitting on a nerve here, is that persistence. How much did we hear the word no, and what all the things during COVID we were unable to do, the things you cannot do for safety reasons or for funding, a lack of funding and other constraints. So that persistence, when you talked about when you heard no from some publishers and you persisted nonetheless.
Yes. Well, I think what's one of my personal watchwords is persistence. And, you know, there's a quote that I always think about. It's actually from Og Mandino, the world's greatest salesman. That's what his title is. And he says, I will persist until I succeed. Every minute will I take another step. And that's kind of what I tell myself sometimes. And I think it's important for us all to have that quality and that ability, but it's not just blindly stepping. It's learning from the environment around you, stepping back, thinking about like, how do I need to reposition or to tweak my process so that you're taking your efforts and making sure they're focusing on the outcome that you want.
Other than not having a persistent mindset, what behaviors or other environmental constraints have you noticed over the last year that have prevented people with a marketing mindset from really navigating the pandemic?
Well, I think I just want to say that I feel a lot of like compassion for all of us during this time. And to the extent that people have been weighed down with like family responsibilities and just real grief about the state of the world, I can really understand that. At the same time, I really think a lot about what's the opportunity here. So I was just, at some point before it got too freezing cold, I was having dinner outside in New York with somebody, and she, also a marketer, was bemoaning all the sort of the tragedy and the difficulty that she had and her family had during the year. And all I said was, well, has there been anything that's shown up for you that has been a gift or an unexpected silver lining? And, you know, she was like, oh, I never thought of that. She even said, that's a question I ask other people, but I haven't thought about it for myself. And so I think it's the ability to see everything as a possibility. And I think it's for that. So the disinclination to do that, being so weighed down that you don't think about what's the possibility here, what's the gift here, what's the silver lining, that I think has held a lot of people back. And I would also say this pandemic has really shown us that our traditional business models and way of doing business may be changing forever. And so I think it's important to accept that as quickly as you can, embrace that, and then figure out what is my personal advantage and my personal model going forward.
Yes, talking about models, I mean, especially for those of you watching this, whether it be the live stream or the replay, a lot of marketing models are breaking down, and particularly in the way people in the past invested in search as a method of generating leads.
Yeah.
And so many of the algorithms and the pay for leads models of Google and Facebook and others are being disrupted as we speak. And what types of business models or marketing systems are you seeing getting disrupted right now?
I mean, I think the ones that you mentioned, I think also I would say, sort of talk about the tie between marketing and sales. I think that relationship building has to change quite a bit in light of now we're working remotely and people have a different sense of their ability to be available. I think that, I guess I would just step back and say, from an entrepreneurship perspective, everything you thought was true about the way people work and the way people interact in the office and how you build culture, all of that is now up for grabs in terms of your ability as an entrepreneur or anybody to reinvent it.
What are some of the ways you personally have shifted your marketing? I do remember from watching some of your videos and interviews that you are masterful at networking, and you live in a city where networking and small private dinners and other gatherings are so easy to do.
Yeah.
So what's different now that you might actually end up keeping and continuing to do post-pandemic?
Well, when the pandemic happened, it was sort of, when the big, massive lockdown in New York happened, exactly 1 year ago today, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, this is the year anniversary of New York, really kind of shutting down, and everyone not even understanding, the words lockdown, not even understanding what that meant. So what I thought about as I was recognizing that the world as we knew it had been coming, it was going to come to an end for the moment, and we didn't know how long that was going to be. A lot of us thought just a couple of weeks. The person you mentioned earlier, Dory Clark, my good friend and colleague Dory Clark and I decided, well, we always do these gatherings over dinner, over drinks. We're just going to start doing them over video. And so we adapted our model of gathering friends and friends of friends and colleagues, people we didn't even know very well, together to do it over video. We've created a model where we have approximately 9 people per cocktail party. And we go around the room and we share introductions and bios. And then we go around the room and we answer a table question. So what we've discovered, so first of all, it goes without saying we all prefer to be in person. However, it's amazing how much intimacy you can create over a video, over Zoom. And also we've discovered it's actually a lot quieter in the Zoom room, so we can hear each other. So that's pretty cool. The other thing is that we can bring people from all over the world, not just all over the country, all over the world who have attended our cocktail parties, because we can do them by video. And we've been able to continue meeting new people, making significant connections that we've kind of stayed in touch with and, done business together and been friends together, even during a time where no one is really seeing each other in person.
That's lovely. So how much do you think you'll continue doing that once New York and other major locations open up and fingers crossed we reach herd immunity?
Right. It's an interesting question. I think that we've all learned also not to anticipate too far in advance, right, during this period. But I would say we've gotten so much joy out of these events, and we've been able to bring so many wonderful people together. I will say there'll be an additive, added into our networking events right now. I know for myself, I wouldn't want to give them up because it's so nice to be able to convene people from even all over the world. So I think it'll be now the word of the year is now like hybrid, right? It'll be a hybrid approach. And I think we'll continue incorporating video and maybe other technology into our gatherings in the future.
That's great. Well, I sure plan on it because I'm very fortunate in that I have clients and friends who live all over the world.
Yeah.
And that is the wonders of doubling down and investing in a studio.
Yeah.
And so it really, once you get the sound at a place that is acceptable and is pleasant for others to hear you.
Right.
And you have a decent camera, it's, game on, bring it on, invite your friends.
Right.
So I think we've touched on a couple things. One is avoiding over-dependency on the big advertising platforms like Google and Facebook for your outreach and your marketing. The second is getting creative with networking strategies. I think that's really a great one.
Yeah.
And are there any others that come to mind that you're seeing shifting either for your own business, which has grown and succeeded so well, or with some of your clients who are larger, who might have a more dedicated marketing team?
Well, there's no question. I mean, there's been a massive rise in social media and kind of personalized social media that I've seen my clients use. I think it's also, there's interesting, this Substack and really having a new sophistication about how to build an email list and how to create content that people are going to want and finding your niche audiences in those ways. I think, sort of like relationship building using email, using a newsletter is going to become increasingly interesting. And I think also, video is obviously something that people are experimenting with a lot and getting a lot of play with as well.
Yes, I'm seeing the same thing. I am in the throes of a study with my partner, Michael Taylor, and we are looking at organizations that really do well at delivering good value to their potential customers and converting customers quickly and then keeping them.
Right.
And so we have been interviewing a number of leaders, CMOs, VP of growth, and other people around this topic. And they agree with you that with all of the changes going on some of these big platforms and some of the things we've seen happening in Australia against Google and others, building your organic list is really essential. It's really essential, and nurturing that list even before they become a customer. There are a couple organizations that I heard about that people might want to start tracking who are helping companies in this particular area. One is an organization called DMI, that's Donald Mary Indigo, and they help people build their email list ethically. By the way, I had to put the word ethically in there.
Yeah.
They don't make up email names to help you build your list. And then the other one that someone spoke very highly about is the International Media Association. So they recommended this. We had a meeting this week with the head of growth for one of the world's largest print publications. And she was telling us about all the work she does now versus 5 years ago when she worked at USA Today, but all the steps they go through on the front end to not sell anything. They put 13 emails together over a 13-week period that they send out, and none of them are pitching their services or their subscriptions or anything. It's strictly knowledge, information, and value with a little blurb on the bottom. If you'd like to subscribe, click here.
Yeah. And
I'm hoping Forbes is listening, because if I see one more pop up on my screen from Forbes, I'm going to scream. And they, it's just tamping down that pop up, got to get it now, sign up immediately to buy from me. It's that calm, learn. I'm here to educate, inform, and inspire. And then slowly they have seen their buy, the their percentage of people buying from that strategy increased significantly. It's been very successful.
Yeah. That makes complete sense to me. And I would just say the first step of all selling is not to sell, right? It's like the best counterintuitive strategy there is.
It really is. And so I thought I would pass that along because that could be a very big change. And boy, what a great time to own an email marketing company of any sort. And companies like MailChimp and HubSpot and others will thrive for many years to come, which is great.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is great. So what other things are you seeing among marketers that can really help them think more like entrepreneurs? What do you suggest or recommend as some strategies or tools that would be helpful to them?
Well, I would say about marketers, just like I would say about all professionals. So first of all, get really educated about your market, right? So again, the world is kind of changing. What I find in the companies I work in is there are two kinds of people: the people who are constantly learning, self-study, listening to webcasts, right, watching videos, reading about their field, and they just know more. And then there are other people who, just aren't building their skills. So it's like for everybody, the way to be an entrepreneur is to be curious, to be engaged, to be interested, to do the self-study, and then to be agile in implementing what you learn. So experimentation is massive in the world of entrepreneurship, thinking about minimum viable product, experimenting. What are we trying to learn? I think marketers can absolutely learn from that right now. The world is moving quickly. So it's a question of like, where can I fit in? Think about the experiments you want to run and think about how you can be quick to adopt and adapt to new environments.
Well, as a woman who's officially been divorced now for 3 years, I can say I am the queen of A/B testing. So, I mean, it's there. I'll try some new ways of, socializing or new ways of building community, and some work, some don't. Yeah. I mean, I also look at how might I be using Clubhouse in the future, the whole social audio world. And I'm not sure I'll really use it much, but I am still experimenting. I'm giving myself 60 days to see how it goes. What has been your experience in the world of social audio as a marketing strategy or an educational strategy?
I would say, so Clubhouse in particular has been, I think it's very useful. I think you have to figure out, everyone with all these tools, and maybe this is another lesson for all of us, you got to pick your spots. You can experiment with many and then figure out what's going to work with me in terms of all the tools available and specifically how I'm going to use this tool. So I think I figured out a lot about how I'm going to use Clubhouse and how it makes sense for me. And in that sense, it's been massively successful.
Well, we have a lot of people who follow us, and many of them are entrepreneurs and run professional services firms as well. So that can be, accountancies or coaching firms or supply chain experts. How do you see yourself using Clubhouse as a coach?
Well, I think that what's powerful about Clubhouse is that you can just step on the platform, no preparation, and you can gather an audience. And the more you spend some time and show up in rooms and get on the stage of, influential people, the more you can, what can I say? The more you'll be able to gather those followings and be able to command a room when you walk into it. So I think that's very helpful. It's very helpful for people. And I think it's also, I would say for me, it gives me an opportunity to meet people that I haven't met before. And I think it gives me an opportunity as a coach to do really casual Q&A, which has been just really fun and rewarding.
Now, talk about being an entrepreneur, a resourceful person.
Yeah.
How many people transport kettlebells to another country for their retreat?
By the way, that did take a lot of resourcefulness. And also, by the way, that to me is about commitment. Like I have to say, I was going to be in Mexico for 4 weeks. And then I realized, why should I go home? And I stayed for 5 weeks. So, for me, fitness is an important part of my life and an important part of my routine that helps keep me sane, obviously fit, in good shape. And also it's just part of my life. And to be away for that long and not have my tools with me, I just thought, well, that's not good. And I thought to be away for that long and have my tools with me, that's better. So I just thought, well, what do I need to do to bring my tools with me? And so again, it took something. I don't say what it took a lot, but I was really happy to be the kind of person that can make hard things happen.
Yes. And boy, I think I said to you a week or so ago, that is a perfect backdrop for a series of great blog posts and articles, or maybe your new book. Oh, speaking of books, tell us about the book you're working on.
Oh, thank you. My book is called From Startup to Grown Up, Growing Your Leadership While Growing Your Business. And it has to do with the transition, the growth phase that you have to go through to become founder to CEO, someone who's building a product to someone who's building a business. And it is kind of my stories, my experiences working with various different founders as they move in that transition to CEO.
That's great. And when can we all sign up and get notified? Or how can we all sign up and be notified about when the book launches?
I know. Well, the book is going to launch in the fall, and I'm not quite there for pre-orders yet, but you can always come to my website, alisacohn.com, and sign up for my newsletter list. And I promise you will hear quite a bit about that on my newsletter list. So thank you for asking. I'm very excited about it. And by the way, that's also a journey. Like when I first got this book contract, I was like, oh, I don't know how to write a book, And then, you know what I did? I started writing a book quite badly. And then as I was practicing writing a book, it got better. And now at the end of this process, I'm like, hey, I'm really excited about this book. This is going to be a really good book. I can't wait to tell everybody about it. And at the beginning, I kind of thought, I'm not going to tell them about this book. So I just want to tell everybody, this is like my religion. You got to try. You got to keep going. Things that are easy, things that are hard to do are hard to do. They take practice. And I just know for myself, before I start my fitness session, if it's going to run or do my kettlebells, I don't feel like it. I feel like it after. Before I was going to write this book, as I started writing this book, I wrote it kind of badly until I got better at it. So it's there for all of us to perfect our skills.
I also believe so much in the power of the written word.
Yeah.
And now that many of us, well, first of all, 90% of my CMO members in our private cohort do not plan on going back to 5 days a week in the office. Because in the office, I can communicate with you and I can read your body language differently and feel your energy very differently than when I'm behind a screen or on Clubhouse.
Yeah.
And when that goes away, the power of the written word becomes even more palpable.
Yeah.
And so I think for all of you watching, I think a marketing superpower that is more critical than ever is learning to be a good writer.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I would add a good writer in casual situations, a good writer by email, a good writer by text, a good writer by Slack. And I think people don't pay enough attention to the way they're coming across on email or text. And I think it's unfortunate because people get the wrong impression of you.
Yes. Yes, it's very true. And when I've written all of my books and all of my online courses, one thing I learned from that is I became much more masterful of my topic after I wrote about it.
Totally. Yes.
Even if it means learning how to write a 100-word memo to your team before you meet with them one-on-one, it can be very restorative and powerful. So closing thoughts, what do you think is the world is going to look like for marketers 6 to 12 months from now?
Well, here's what I know. Here's what I know for sure. It's not going to look like it used to. And it's going to look like like 6 to 12 months is a transition time for all of us. So if I think about what that means, I would just come back to embracing what is happening, having agility in what you're learning, and building a core and well, I wouldn't say core, but a key network around you in a broad way of people who can share with you, Lisa, just like you're saying, my version of marketing from this, at this time period, my version of marketing in this time period. It's like you need to have fresh ideas and fresh perspectives so you know what's going on out there so you can figure out how to pull your package together and then do great work from that point of view.
Well said. And it's also very interesting. I do my best to actually practice what I preach. And when I ask my CMOs, why do you continue to come back year over year to either work with me or to be part of our CMO cohort, which is the Marketing Growth Leaders community. And before COVID, they said, well, I want to get promoted, or I want to contribute more revenue to the organization because now I'm treated like an order taker versus an innovator. I said, okay. But then since COVID hit, the reasons they buy from me have shifted dramatically. The number one reason, I need to overcome isolation and loneliness. I'm breathing my own exhaust. And then the second one is I want to contribute to the growth of the company, not be a services group. As I don't want to be treated the way, unfortunately, sometimes HR gets treated. I want to be sitting around the growth table and contribute to the strategic direction of the organization. So I don't think that's going to change. I think loneliness is something that we're going to have to manage in new ways going forward.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Well, it has become the bewitching hour, Alisa. How, again, people can find you? There is a link that Steph has gone ahead and added so people can keep in touch with you. And I also think you have a masterclass coming out soon.
Yes. Thank you for asking. I'm doing this with Jory Clark, and our masterclass is called Business Development Academy for Coaches. And it is, we're in partnership with WBEX, which is the world's largest coach training organization to help elevate the field of professional coaches. And we're teaching people how to build their businesses, how to build a thriving coaching practice. Coming out of the pandemic, to your point about loneliness, people have been isolated. People have not known how to grow their businesses. At all times, coaches have trouble figuring out, they don't get really taught in like coach school, sort of how to build their practices. So Dory and I are going to unlock the secrets of that. And the first step is this masterclass where we're going to share 5 counterintuitive secrets of growing your business.
I can't wait. And I know I signed up for the introductory session because I would never miss that. I mean, I've been coaching for 20 years and I have trouble saying 20 years, but I think I should wear it proudly. I've been coaching for 20 years. I don't feel 20 years older, so that's good. And it's a new time, and I am like you. I love to learn, and it's a great place to go to get that knowledge and that community.
Thank you. Well, I look forward to seeing you there for sure. Come and say hi in the chat. And I invite everybody to sign up. It's going to be, we have 7 more sessions we're doing. So it's going to be good TV.
Well, Alisa, it's great to see you. I hope you and your husband stay safe in New York. Thank you. We can't wait to have you come back when it's time for your book launch.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I really appreciate the support. Thank you for showing our coaching clients how to get more coaching clients without feeling like you're selling. And Lisa, it's great to be with you. I really always appreciate your time and your energy.
It's my pleasure. Have a great weekend, Alisa.
Bye. Take care.
Thank you so much for joining our show today. If you'd like to continue to receive mindful marketing insights and invites, be sure to sign up at tinyurl.com/Lisa Nirell, or ring the bell to subscribe and receive notifications for our future live events and videos just like this on YouTube.